Thanks again for inviting me today. I'm going to talk to you about the Scottish Cities Alliance. Just a little about a background to the SCA. I'm going to talk about investing in Scotland and some of the trends that Yolanda was mentioning. And then I'll talk a little bit about smart cities and innovation, which has also come up this afternoon. Just to remind you where Scotland is. Yeah, it was looking very nice at 5 this morning, I can tell you. And it's a population of 5.3 million. It has been growing, and interestingly, as Yolanda said, largely driven by in-migration. The birth rate has been exceeded by the death rate for many years, but in-migration, much of it from Eastern Europe, has been driving the growth of the Scottish population. And we have very strong linkages with Poland. The city where I'm from, Inverness, has a Polish football team, many Polish shops, a Polish priest in the local Catholic church. So the Scottish Cities Alliance is a partnership of 7 cities. The cities are on the map there. You're probably all familiar with Glasgow, Edinburgh and Aberdeen, the 3 biggest cities, but there are 4 other smaller cities. Dundee featured a lot in Yolanda's maps as well on tech, and I'll talk about that. So the cities, the reason for the establishment of the Alliance back in 2011 was that the cities make a significant contribution to Scotland's GDP. Although they're not large on a European scale, Glasgow being the biggest, its council area's population is around 700,000, but the wider population, probably 1.5 million. Edinburgh around 500,000, Aberdeen 200,000, and Dundee and Inverness and Perth and Stirling ranging from sort of 45,000 to around 118,000. But they do account for a lot of the GVA, a lot of the jobs, and particularly as well, focusing today, a lot of the exports. So we have decided to produce a One Scotland approach to investing in Scotland. It's interesting at events like MIPIM, which I've attended, you often get cities from parts of England competing against each other, it seems to me, and others next door. And sometimes what we've done in the Scottish Cities Alliance is recognise that Edinburgh and Glasgow are obviously names that people recognise, and Aberdeen, but working together we can achieve a lot more, and that's really the ethos of the Cities Alliance. So we have a pitch book, which I'll run through quickly, some of the activities in the pitch book. And this really highlights investment opportunities, and of course it's all available online as well. First of all, why would people invest in Scotland? And these are the sort of messages that we've been giving to investors. The first 3 are really related to investment and development, and it's come up this afternoon. The strong legal system that Scotland has is very important to give security for investors. We also have a very transparent planning system. You can look at development plans and they'll give you an idea of what's going to happen. That's important if you're an investor. You want to make sure if you're purchasing a large retail centre, for example, you want to know what's happening around about that city. Are there going to be competing centres? The development plan will help illustrate that. We've got a very secure lease structure which gives certainty to investors. Again, a point Yolanda was making in terms of the security of income is significant in deciding on where to invest. The other factors below, the cost and availability of real estate, that's really more an attraction for occupiers, which again is featured. We need to get occupiers to have a successful property sector. And wider economic factors, these are from a recent study by Ernst & Young. They do a regular inward investment survey in Scotland. Availability of skilled labour has come up. Scotland has 4 of the world's top 200 universities, and they produce a lot of graduates, particularly things like medical, but science, technology-based graduates. That's the sort of skilled labour that people are looking for. Transport infrastructure, another important investment criteria, often taken for granted, but flight connectivity has improved significantly, direct flights from Scotland. In fact, even 6 months ago, I couldn't have made the flight I did this morning, as flights improved through hub airports like Schiphol and Heathrow. Availability of a supply chain and business partners for occupiers is key, as is telecoms and technology infrastructure, again featuring in the previous presentation. So just quickly running through some of the things we highlight in the pitch book. These are just some slides from Aberdeen. The city centre features quite significantly in all of our investment propositions. Again, as has been mentioned, the importance of being in the city centre for occupiers is really key as people want to continually interact. In Aberdeen's case, we also have a significant out-of-town development. That's an exhibition centre. Every 2 years, Aberdeen hosts Offshore Europe. It's the oil and gas capital of Europe. So a significant new exhibition centre being developed there. So we're pitching that to investors. Next slide highlights some of the opportunities in Dundee, particularly around the waterfront. Now, Dundee is a real centre of excellence in computer games. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of the game Grand Theft Auto, the world's most popular online game and most popular computer game. Anyway, that was invented in Dundee. And part of the reason for that is that Aberdeen University in Dundee has been running a course in computer games for at least the past 20 years. And it's become a real tech hub for investment and for activity there. But this new V&A museum, the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, is being developed in Dundee at a cost of £80 million. And that's really leading the regeneration of the waterfront in Dundee, which is a £1 billion investment proposition focused on the River Tay and the Tay estuary, and a really attractive Japanese design building going up there, opening next year. Moving across to Edinburgh, there's a couple of propositions we highlight around biotech, particularly around the Edinburgh Royal Infirmary, and then International Business Gateway, which is adjacent to Edinburgh Airport. Again, more information on these in the pitch book. In Glasgow, we highlight opportunities around the Clyde, particularly brownfield sites in the east of the city, near to where the Commonwealth Games was held, near to significant transport opportunities. And then the financial services district on the River Clyde in the city centre, home to companies like Morgan Stanley. Inverness, where I'm based, a couple of investment opportunities in the pitch book around the campus. So Inverness, although it's a small city in the north of Scotland, it's home to Johnson & Johnson LifeScan, World Centre for Diabetes Research. And there's a Centre for Health Science there which is building on that expertise, and so we're promoting that. The business park at the airport is associated with a new town development called Tornagrain, which is built as a sustainable settlement with very high carbon attractiveness in terms of low energy consumption and things like super fast connectivity built into all of the homes. Highlighting some opportunities in Perth, again focused on out of town but also on food and drink, and Scotland produces around £3 billion of food and drink exports every year. And then in Stirling, the Kildene Business Park is not far from the Bannockburn battle site that some people will be familiar with. And then obviously city centre investments in Stirling as well. Just a couple of slides on some of the things that we're doing around smart cities. This is again a unique collaboration across the 7 cities, and we talk about the 8th city in Scotland, the smart city. So we're collaborating across all of our cities. We've got a number of projects around energy management, mobility, smart waste, also providing data to universities to, for example, analyse where visitors are coming from and what they're doing. And another project across many of the cities is free public Wi-Fi. The previous speaker has highlighted the fact that people want to use their personal devices as much as possible. So public Wi-Fi is one of the things that we're doing in many of our cities. So while we still have European funding in Scotland, we're using ERDF, European Regional Development Fund, to support this, and that's obviously leveraging significant other investment. Just a little bit about innovation hubs, and we feature quite a significant number of innovation hubs across the country. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Skyscanner. How many of you have used Skyscanner? So Skyscanner is a product of one of the hubs in Edinburgh. So these things are producing, companies like Skyscanner, a unicorn company worth over $1 billion. So a range of innovation hubs, particularly focused on creative industries, which also featured in the previous presentation. So just to conclude then, this is the most up-to-date EY attractiveness survey of investment and inward investment into Scotland. It shows that in 2016 there was a record number of projects. So Scotland is the second most attractive destination outside of London for inward investment. So some of what we're doing must be working. A lot of it is down to government agencies like Scottish Development International, and we also use networks of people abroad called the Global Scot Network, which brings inward investment to Scotland. As you'll see, we're focusing more and more on R&D and on things like software, shifting away from what was Silicon Glen, where we manufactured personal computers, until a lot of that moved further east. But America still remains a primary source of inward investment for Scotland. It's a very important market for us. Although a lot of the real estate investment is coming from Europe, from France, from the Netherlands, and from Germany. And you'll see just the last bullet point there, we have over £1.2 billion of overseas investment into Scottish property in 2016. So that's a significant amount of investment and shows confidence in the future of the country. So as Richard mentioned, we're very much around collaboration. We feel that working together across 7 cities gives us a stronger punching above our weight compared to working separately. So it might be something to think about for your own countries. And if you want more information, I've put some of the links up there for you. So thank you very much for your attention.